going on, everybody? Welcome to another Suplex City Chats. I am, of course, your host with the most, Matty G. Tonight, yes, it is Sunday, but NXT Takeover 31 just happened, and we're going to break down it. JB3 will be here in a little bit. You know, some people got to run late. Evil Dose can tell you where the villain is, because that's top secret. I'm not classified enough to reach that level, so let's introduce the man that's so evil. He's Dose.
I have to tell you, folks, that since Friday, I've gotten even more evil. The only thing darker than my soul was the setting for the NXT Takeover match, because that is one dark studio.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you. It was pretty dark in there, but the lights did shine bright. Oh, but did that person come up on top? We'll get there. And then he is our resident PAYNEMAKER. He is dope tonight.
Yeah, let's see. Out of all that Takeover so far, I mean, it's not the best, but this is definitely an entertaining match. Don't want to get too farther into my points, or at least what I want to bring up. So let's just dive into this.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into what we thought overall at the end. Let's talk about what they did. The opening scene. I kind of like it. It felt more NXT to me than when it did at Full Sail. Full Sail kind of felt empty with the screens and the people, whether it was actually, real people or just video of people. I thought I saw Kevin Owens in the crowd. I'm just going to point on a screen. I'm going to point that out. Couldn't get it screenshotted in time enough. If I find it, I will possibly have it for Thursday. And yes, Dose, I agree. It was pretty dark, but when they lit it up, it looked pretty good. What did you think of the surrounding?
I agree with you. It felt like NXT was home, which was nice. I like the LED screens. I didn't see Kevin Owens. I thought that was you, actually. My eyes aren't good enough to make out individual faces on the screen. I was watching on my phone, so it was a pretty small screen to begin with. But yeah, I mean, the lights were good, and I was hoping back there that they'd make it more colorful, a little bit more contrast. But it did feel like old school NXT, and this was an old school NXT show. So yeah, I thought it was cool.
And PAYNEMAKER, what did you think of the surroundings? Maybe not the whole pay-per-view.
The surroundings. Honestly, I didn't even notice the LED screens at first. Like the extra stuff they added in, I was just tuned out for at least the moment. I mean, I liked the intro. I'm going to be honest. Vic Joseph, I liked him talking about the history, and I liked him bringing it in. But with the big LED screen, I wasn't paying attention too much on it until they actually started using it. I'm like, oh, that is a nice little added effect there. I mean, look, I appreciate the fact that they actually have wrestlers in the crowd again, because I'm still mixed back and forth with the audio cue. But with the wrestlers there, along with everyone for like the Thunderdome setup, it does give every match, or at least it gives the more energy. So that's one thing I did like about the setup. They're trying to experiment with this takeover.
Yeah. All right, guys. And come to find out, NXT will be there from now on. Makes me wonder what happened at Full Sail. Maybe they had a COVID outbreak. Oh God. But NXT from now on is going to broadcast there. Maybe that means they're going to start doing Thunderdome-esque viewing like they do elsewhere, which may or may not work. It helped boost ratings for Raw and SmackDown when it first happened. So let's just dive in. There were no pre-show matches, which is fine with me. Didn't need it. I like the fact that the pre-show was only a half hour. I think pre-shows on regular main roster events are too long because they go over the same thing over and over again. They hit it, and then the show went running. And they started out with something that, God, was hard hitting. It was fantastic. Damian Priest took on Ryan's boy, Johnny Gargano. We all know here that that's your boy. You've always had a hard on for Johnny Gargano, to say. What did you think of this match, bud?
Well, this match, I do appreciate the size differential there. They were using that, at least during most of the opening at least, to tell a story with Gargano, how he's going to be able to beat Damian Priest, because the dude, he covers him on range, especially with his kicks. And he also is very agile for himself, as we got to see him be more agile, I think, than I've seen from a few past NXTs, at least with his new recent face turn, honestly. I do appreciate with Gargano, he wanted to use every trick in the book in order to become champion. And I thought that was perfect for him, to not only solidify him as a heel, but to give a strong heel for Priest to go up against. For Priest, he couldn't rely on his power like he had to do when he had fought up against Thatcher, or when he had to go, or whenever he fought any other opponent. Gargano was a good opponent to test Damian Priest on his ring awareness. Because that spot, what he did, jumping, doing a somersault over the ring, and Gargano pulling those extras into that splash. So that was pretty good. And then also at the same time with the spot of them nearly going to fall, if they were going to fall onto the steel steps. That's also a good storytelling aspect too. But I do like that Gargano, the only way he could capitalize over Damian Priest was trying to target a body spot or use his quickness with super kicks or with low. Oh my God. I don't know if you guys are hearing that, but I got my brother playing Twitch, so he's most likely he's going to be doing a lot of shouting. But as I was just saying, I like the match, the storytelling, and how Gargano was trying to capitalize himself as a heel. And I do, as much as I want Gargano to win, I'm not upset that Damian got the victory.
Okay, I guess I'll go next. I was rooting for Damian. I like Damian Priest. I liked this whole face turn of him. Johnny Gargano brought everything he did. I was kind of surprised he didn't do a little bit more heel-like tactics, maybe the keys, something. But that's okay. I like the fact that, big guy versus little guy, they're going to chop down the tree. It's pretty much said. Wade Barrett, absolutely on commentary for this match, was fantastic. He sold everything for him. I disagree. That spot with the stairs and them kind of fighting kind of got a little played out. I felt the same way with Orange Cassidy and Chris Jericho over the mimosa. I felt that way. But that spot where they did it. I love the fact that Gargano even hit him with a low blow. I liked it. It was a great way to kick off the show. Dose, what do you think?
Well, everybody knows my sizeism. So, not a fan of Gargano because of his size. Let's just get that out of the way early and not take too much time with it. That aside, I agree with everything you guys said. I think it was a very clever match. Gargano is he's a very good performer. I think a couple times Priest looked a little punch drunk in there, and not necessarily because it was he was selling too much. I think maybe they were waiting a little bit too long to set up some moves or whatnot. I very much enjoyed when Gargano pushed the security guys in there to break the fall. I thought that was clever. I don't remember seeing that done exactly that way before, which is always nice. But yeah, I don't have anything clever to add. I think that it was a good, small, crafty heel versus big guy match. I think he relied a little bit too much on the submissions just because the range was always, when you got a guy that's 6'5", 6'6", and you're trying to stretch him in a ring that's not that big, and you're, a cerebral wrestler, that didn't seem so cerebral. But, it's a story, and that's the one they went with, and it's fine. But, again, I think I'm just repeating the points you guys made. I think it was a good match. The only problem with it is that once Gargano lost, you sort of knew that Candice wasn't going to win either, because the point was either the super couple goes 2-0 or 0-2. So I knew I did predict Priest would win. So what I thought is that the women's match was going to open the card, or at least be before, and I thought Candice would win, so that you thought Gargano would win, which I think would have made so much of the things they did well that much more dramatic.
And
anyway,
on some of the surprises we got, it would have made sense if Candice won, but you're not going to touch on that. I do agree. As much as I love takeovers, I would love to see every now and then when a pay-per-view happens, when the storytelling aspect comes of a champion this close to losing. I'm not talking about constant false finishes, but really trying to push the thought into your head that Damian Priest, even though he could beat Gargano, just give you that small inkling of doubt in your mind that Gargano is going to win. Because normally, if one champion retains and then you have a card with a few more championships on there, it's either one of them's going to lose or all of them's going to retain. That's the unfortunate side effect of with the booking today. I have nothing against the booking. We want to keep the champion strong. It's just sometimes you got to take a risk.
Yeah, and when Priest beats a guy like Gargano, it sort of establishes him in NXT universe as a real legit champion. So yeah. I'm done talking about this match unless you want me to say more.
No, nothing more either. Nothing more for me.
Yeah, all right then. Let's move on to something that I wasn't excited for, but I was curious because they've been pushing this whole badass Kushida, and I like I said last week, I wasn't really buying it. I do now, and he just seemed like the Kushida that was in Japan, that monster that when he was coming into NXT they said he was going to be, and then he just kind of became almost a comedy act. Now he's a monster. Velveteen Dream sold for him. The Death Valley driver into his hoverboard submission, whatever the hell they call it, that armbar. It was so brilliant. Dose, what was your thoughts on this one?
I thought this was an excellent match, and I really don't know why you didn't buy into Kushida earlier, because they were doing a pretty good job with it, but it doesn't really matter why. I bought into it. But I wasn't sure about this match. I think though that what they're going to do is a injury angle with Velveteen Dream. Maybe put a little time between him and his problems, his indiscretions, or his immaturity. I mean, as soon as Triple H came out with that quote today or yesterday, that immaturity of Velveteen Dream, I knew I had to change my pick, that I was wrong. But it almost seems like it's leading to a double turn, and I think that when Velveteen comes back, he might be coming back positioned as a face, and Kushida might be a heel. But anyway, I thought it was a really good match. I'm sort of getting used to Velveteen's windmill type punches, which is the one thing that I sort of didn't like about his game, is that it was sort of flippy floppy. And we sort of have to talk about his Gandalf the Grey beard and hair. But unlike Gandalf the Grey, he didn't win. So maybe Gandalf would turn into Gandalf the White to win. So yeah, it is consistent. I thought it was a really good match. It was a good ending. I think Kushida looked great. He looked vicious. He was vicious. And I think now he's probably in line for either a title match or a showdown with Ciampa, who's probably the other guy who's going to be, vying for that. So I thought it was pretty cool. No, I thought it was very cool.
Do you think this could be him, maybe because being a heel, maybe moving towards Damian Priest?
Sure, it could. Yeah.
Maybe. I still don't think this is a complete heel yet. I think right now he's just showing an aggressive side. Although it would not be naive of me to think that NXT is pushing him as a heel. I just haven't seen much from the commentary or from the whole list of episodes that he is becoming a heel. I mean, the video package itself was just showing that he's becoming more aggressive in his styling. That he's, like what you said, Matt, he's dropping this whole act that he was when he came in. Like he's like he said, he's sick and tired. Of course, like everybody who says that line, I'm sick and tired of waiting for opportunities. Now I'm going to take them. Well, those in the playbook is a heel 101 opportunity, but at the same time, I've seen tweeters. What was that?
You glitched out a little.
My bad. Well, I'm just pretty much saying I'm still not sure whether Kushida is a heel just yet. Maybe his next feud, or if he does go after Priest, we'll start seeing that being sold by commentary. But regarding this match, this was great. A great showing for Kushida here. I mean, NXT had to put all their chips, all their cards into this basket here, because if Kushida did not come out looking strong or looking like a star here, then this new attitude change would have faltered a little bit, and then it would kind of be like they got to go back to the drawing board again. But the fact that Kushida came out on top, Velveteen Dream was, and I still think is, the perfect opponent that was used to help sell Kushida. Because not only did he sell Kushida using his submissions, he also was able to sell every time Kushida had him twisted up, like stomping in the back of his head or kicking him in the head or just like doing those tie-ups was just amazing. And I think Velveteen Dream's attire, Dose, I think it was kind of like a tie back to when he was a heel. He'd always have his attire during a takeover used to taunt his enemy. And I think he was trying to make himself look like I mean, the gray hair did throw me off a bit, but then when I saw that little jacket, like the Marty McFly-ass jacket, I think, oh, he's supposed to be Doc Brown making fun of Kushida. But Kushida jumped him.
I didn't connect those two things.
Yeah,
I didn't hear it until I rewinded. I was rewinding the match at the beginning when he jumped him. I'm like, what was that? And then I saw that little Marty McFly jacket on the ground.
Yeah, Beth Phoenix actually said something about it.
There's a lot of echoes going on.
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah, Beth Phoenix actually called that out. She said that it was kind of a taunt at him, the gloves with the fucking symbol on the back of the hands. But Velveteen Dream sold. It's probably on my end, Ryan.
I'm not the tech guy, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah, it's probably on my end. Let me see what I can do.
Ryan apparently has a nuclear missile there.
Is it better now?
Yes.
Okay. There we go. All right, so we're good now, Ryan. We're good.
You said it lost connection with my mic. Maybe it's probably the reason why I glitched out for a second.
Yeah, I don't know. It could have been mine. Who knows? Fuck it. I liked it though. Yeah, the whole kind of taunting, Kushida, Doc Brown, whatever. It was still a good match. It felt like it could have been a G1 match, I hate to keep going back to New Japan, but it kind of felt like an early G1 match. We're going to show off my strength. We're going to show off your strength, but we need you to go over, so we're going to make it look good. I enjoyed it. It was really hard hitting. Velveteen.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, Velveteen Dream sold for Kushida, like he did with Karrion Kross, or with Kross. So I like it. Anybody else got anything they want to touch on before we roll on to the 205 Live?
Just the heel thing. I mean, I would agree with Ryan on that, except that after the match was over, he redid the attack and then redid it a second time, which I thought was, one too many emphasis for it to be subtle. And that's it.
Yeah, but it was...
It is a good point. It is a good point. It's just like...
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm just saying, because even then when the package itself, it just felt to me like Kushida felt like because the package pretty much says he's going after Velveteen Dream because he cost him his shot at North American Championship. So it did feel like, but I'm not saying based on that package alone justified the aftermath, the post-match beatdown. I mean, yes, this could solidify he is officially a heel, or this was him just rubbing salt in the wound with Velveteen Dream. But I did want to add commentary with Wade Barrett on there. He does really help he does help add more dimension when it comes down to the wrestling, especially with the pre-match and with this one, because of his experience as a wrestler and the fact that he has done commentary when he was in British, with Progress Wrestling, with Defiant. It shows that he is learning how to combine his previous experience as a wrestler and to help add some great color as a commentator.
He kind of reminds me of what Excalibur does over in AEW, which it works for me. Here in Arizona, when you listen to the Cardinals, our team on the radio, we have a guy whose name is Ron Wolfley that does commentary. He's got that same draw that, like Wade Barrett does. So it works for me. I like it. Beth Phoenix, she was on point with it.
I think there's not somebody talking too much on commentary. I mean, as much as I like Ronaldo, when he's not always dominating the conversation, the dynamic does help with the match. I like Ronaldo every now and then, but when he's like 75% on the commentary, it does drag for me.
Wade Barrett is my favorite commentary guy, I think, in wrestling right now. And maybe it's because he's still sort of new, but I like his experience, his intelligence. I like his emphasis, but I love his voice. It sounds like he should be like leading a Shakespearean war scene.
Yes.
Mara was always too over the top for me.
Mazel tov, we're good.
Yeah. Wade is right on my wavelength as to what I want to hear with energy and knowledge. So I agree with you. He's got the knowledge of Excalibur, but he's got more of the energy, like maybe like how JR used to have, 20 years ago.
The timing, like he's there for the timing. Like what JR would always say, he wants to help with his commentary, help try to tell a story with the audience. And even then, Corey Graves, when he was part of NXT, he did help that flavor too. It's just, I think the difference is we clearly see with NXT compared to the main roster, the commentators are able to call these wrestling matches like down the middle, like as a sport. But of course, on the main roster, it's all that entertainment value. So then their flair and flavor goes away.
Just two things on that. Do you remember the old commercial where Matt Damon and Patrick Stewart, and Matt Damon's like, "Why do you think you're better than me?" And he goes, "I'm British." And that's exactly how I felt with the commentary. And did we notice that there was a stunt double there where Beth was supposed to be sitting?
Yeah, I thought it was a ring announcer for a second. I thought that was a ring announcer, but I'm like, oh no, she's by the bellkeeper.
She's a wrestler with MLW. I don't remember her name. Someone posted them on the Facebook pages. I wish I forgot, but she's actually a contracted wrestler with MLW, which is, I guess they tape mostly out of Florida. So
actually, it makes a lot of sense now because NXT with some of the wrestlers, the female wrestlers, because I've heard this from Brandy Rhodes in the past, from Shaw Guerrero, from Dasha Fuentes, that when they trained at the Performance Center as wrestlers, they also took opportunities to be ring announcers and bell keepers just to get that TV time, or at least to get that ring experience, even if it wasn't wrestling. So I'll definitely look her up and find her. I mean, even I don't know, JoJo wasn't a wrestler. Sorry, she was just a ring announcer.
Yeah, if you find that, please share that with the group because I'd love to see that. That's funny as hell. All right, guys. Let's move on to the 205 Live or the Cruiserweight division. This match was really good too. Santos Escobar took on Isaiah Swerve Scott. This felt like a WCW Cruiserweight opening match on Nitro. It was perfect. I like the whole I'm the greatest of, basically the head of Lucha Wrestling. Sorry, I'm losing my mind here. Lucha Wrestling, and he ran with it. I thought he was going to lose the title during this match. Isaiah got all kinds of offense, and I want to know who the hell is the random guy. Ryan, maybe you can answer this, because Dos and I, before we went live, were asking, who the hell is the guy that showed up, and why is he getting, the spotlight?
Oh, I thought you guys, if you guys kept watching, they do show during the program that he gets interviewed later on. I forgot his last name is Adonis.
Yeah, Adonis something.
You're
right, but have you seen him in anything else?
I think he is. I think he was contracted to Performance Center. I may have not seen him in any independent, but the fact that they chose to put a spotlight on him and focus on him means he must be from somewhere. Honestly, yeah, I don't know who he is either. He's their next.
The wrestler's name is Casey Lennox.
That name does sound familiar. I've heard that before.
I'm gonna put this to the camera, see if that's who it was.
The ring, the stunt double or the ring announcer?
The ring announcer. The ring announcer. The bodyguard for Beth Phoenix. No, the guy's name was Adonis, and he's definitely from 205 Live. The only reason I know that is because of the promo. He said from the 215, which is the area code for Philly. So, but I had never heard of him before. I don't watch 205 Live, but usually when there's a guy on the come, you hear his name or you see him in some things. I mean, these rosters are not necessarily exclusive, but that was fine. But the only issue I had with the match is that he took on the Legato fellas, and they wrestled they fought into the back, but it's 2-on-1, and then they all disappeared as if that would just be the end of it. But aside from that was it. I agree, it was a very good match. I had picked Swerve to win. I thought I was looking pretty good when Adonis came out and chased out Legato. I sort of liked how they said he cracked his head on the post, which he I mean, it was sort of clear that he missed it, which is the only botched camera work to me. But it was fine, and I like Santos Escobar, so I'm not upset that he kept the title. I think that's good to keep it strong. It was just a night of speculative and not rewarding picks for me. But I like I said, I didn't have a good feel for this card. But I think the show delivered. I just got things wrong, but that's okay too. I mean, it's good when you can't predict the outcome of all the matches. I think that's something that's more and more rare in wrestling.
Yeah, and I like the whole fact. I have to admit, it felt right to me that he did the Three Amigos because he is kind of claiming to be the best lucha libre. And I like the fact he got booed for it. It worked for me. And I looked up this Adonis guy. Apparently he's pretty big in 205 Live, but that's about it. They're probably leading to him going after Santos Escobar next, whatever. I don't watch 205 Live. Maybe I should. That's just my opinion.
Well, it's a cruiserweight title, so it makes sense that 205 guy would be going after it. His promo was pretty good. I mean, it wasn't that original, but it was pretty good. It was better than Rey Mysterio, who's been doing this for 35,000 years. So,
whoa, hot take.
Yeah, I think the big difference is though with that guy and Rey Mysterio is that guy he's got a lot to prove in this company. Well, Rey, he's at the point where he can easily bring in his family and just read whatever they hand him off of the desk.
I'm still going with the Angie heel turn.
Hey, honestly, it could happen. But this match too, look, I was enjoying myself, but then the moment Isaiah Scott did his 3 moves, he did that. He took him down. I mean, he threw him into the post, and then does his mid-air jump kick, and then the 450 splash. That there should have said he wins, but then it continues further on. So then the problem was that with that whole setup, it does it does help with Santos Escobar to show that why he is the NXT champion. And it only hurts Scott a little bit because, like before, Scott's wins against Escobar have been when his group is not involved. Like he beats him in the Cruiserweight tournament when he still had that mask. When Escobar still had the mask, and then he beat him again in that 6-man. He pinned him in that 6-man match.
So it hurt Scott. I just don't think it helped him. I think he's exactly where he was, which is sort of nowhere. He's just sort of a guy, and he has spectacular moves. But even when they gave him time Wednesday night to do the sort of dueling interview promo thing, I mean, not that Santos lit up the room either, but he really didn't do anything on the mic either. I mean, this guy Adonis was more electrifying than Swerve was. Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, I remember Isaiah Scott Swerve as Killshot. I mean, he had a personality. So maybe he needs to be a heel to exude a personality. Maybe he just can't be a face. I don't know.
This also is one of my biggest problems with NXT and WWE in general, or at least the idea of faces. Like, what is their idea of a face? But I don't want to get into a huge thing about this to take up time. I do agree. Maybe Isaiah needs a personality change or just a more aggressive attitude to help get him across. And even though this match, I don't believe it hurt him. It hurt him a lot. It's just that you had the match extend after those 3-set moves that normally would have taken out any competitor. And with Santos Escobar, to me, it made sense if he lost a title. That way, when he comes back again, we can do this whole thing where Scott only has it for a short period of time. Escobar gets again, and then he goes back. And then not only is he an uber heel, but this time he gets more aggressive onto his compatriots and start pushing for the team's championships. Because before then, when they did those constant backstage skits of them at a table wanting all the gold, it looked like we were going to get that direction. But then what happened? Nothing. We heard nothing about where their aspirations are for the teams. I mean, if we had Escobar presenting himself as more of a ruthless leader of Legado del Fantasma, then him losing his title, becoming incredibly ruthless to push for the tag team titles and get the Cruiserweight Championship back, I think would help not just elevate him, but elevate Legado del Fantasma as a more serious 3-man group. Because so far, the biggest group that we've seen collect all the gold is Undisputed Era. And right now, it looks like they're about to splinter off. So we need a new stable of power.
Well, you never know. Give it time, though. I mean, right now we were just kind of dealing with Imperium and Fandango.
Breeze Angle. Yeah, I know what you.
Right. I know what you're doing, yeah. I don't know why I couldn't come up with Breeze. Because they've been multiple teams with different names for many, many, many years. So maybe that feud is ending, and then the rest of them are going to move in, and then they'll get the gold. I would just give it some time. Like right now, you notice we didn't even have a tag match on the entire card.
No,
So maybe they're going to do something wild and crazy. Let's take a break right here since we've kind of, beat this one. Then we get a promo video. And out of the blue, or should I say black, the green-haired crazy person, basically the new Nikki Cross, but don't at me at that. Don't at me at that one. That was a bad joke. I don't know if it landed or not. But Shotzi Blackheart came on screen, and they announced that October 28th, they're doing Halloween Havoc, which, as we all know, was a WCW pay-per-view. Now that's owned by WWE, so they seem to be doing their WCW names on NXT. Whatever. I'm curious to see where they're going to go with it. MLW used to do something like that with Jimmy Havoc, which, it used to be a bloodbath. But we know NXT is still under the PG era of WWE, which is kind of depressing. Any ideas?
No. Well, your joke landed like a lot of Shotzi's moves on your neck.
Damn, I think I need eyes for that one.
In probably a few segments, we're going to get to who I think should have ended that commercial, because it would have fit, at least with a prior iteration of the character. Halloween Havoc was one of the best names in wrestling pay-per-view history in my mind. I'm very glad that they're recycling it. I don't even care if they're doing it just so that Cody doesn't even think about trying to get the trademark again, because he's sort of, everything that his father had any, part in thinking about, he applies for a trademark for, usually in his own name. So they're using it, so he can't get it, even he probably couldn't anyway, but he keeps trying and it's a pain. But I don't know what they're going to do on the card. I don't know that it's going to be any different than another takeover. I think it's just a different name for a takeover. And I don't know if we didn't discuss this, but I heard through the reliable grapevine that this takeover was available on regular pay-per-view for regular pay-per-view prices. So I guess this will be this Halloween Havoc will be the second show where they try to get regular buyers. I have no idea what kind of buy rate.
No, it's on a Wednesday. Though
it's pretty much gonna be like the Great American Bash.
Oh, like they did Clash of Champions on the cruise, on the Jericho cruise, or Great American Bash on 2 weeks of the.
You mean Bash at the Beach?
Yeah, Bash of the Beach. They just
no. I mean like NXT. They did the Great American Bash on a Wednesday, so I think that's what they're gonna do with Halloween Havoc. And even then, when they were using Starrcade, it was only for like in-house shows, though. I mean, they at the time when they had the WCW names.
Okay. You guys might be right. I mean, if it's on a Wednesday, you're almost certainly right.
I mean, I would not say no if this was put on the pay-per-view. That would help sell NXT even more, like to make it its own brand. But
well, we have the network, so we're not going to say no. I mean, so
anyway, no. Raw killed my interest in the network, honestly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm just going to watch it the old-fashioned way off Hulu.
I have no idea what they're going to do with the show. I didn't even know it was on a Wednesday. I didn't even check the calendar. So
It didn't really say much. I maybe it's going to be on a Wednesday. Maybe it's a special televised event. Look back, most likely look it back before I'm locked out of my network subscription when the billing's over. But I'm still interested for Halloween Havoc. I want to see what they're going to do with it. If they're going to make it not like a Halloween themed kind of thing, but more of just with the pay-per-view, they're going to try to make it with the name, are they going to try to honor the name, make it a stacked card on there, give us quality matches, or like what WWE does in the past, they take something of they do a themed match, like they always do on the main roster with those stupid Thanksgiving bashes or the pumpkin bash where someone goes through a table and they win.
Hey, leave my fucking holiday stipulation matches alone, damn it. I love those. You all know me, I'm a sucker for stipulation. And to answer Dose's question, yes, you could have bought Takeover on pay-per-view for $45.
For 5 matches.
I paid $10. I pay $10 a month, damn it, for a reason.
Yeah, me too.
And I don't care. You know what? Raw, SmackDown, I don't care. After what we saw at Clash of Champions and then Friday night, which we did live, y'all saw me lose my shit when the Fiend attacked fucking Kevin Owens. Y'all saw me lose my shit. So I'm at least invested on the SmackDown side of things. Raw, not so much.
Yeah, SmackDown's been okay to good.
Yeah, I see. I'm leaning more towards good, but that's just my opinion. That being said, I hope that they do it kind of like AEW does, like they did with Fyter Fest and Fight for the Fallen, where it's free, but it's pay-per-view quality.
Yeah. And I'm okay with theme matches. I wouldn't mind a cinematic, like a haunted house match or something like that. They've done cinematic matches well, and they've got some spooky guys. Dexter Lumis is a spooky guy. Seems like a good place for Karrion Kross to return if he's healthy. Ember Moon, certainly. Oops. Oh, well.
Wait a minute.
Could be a person theoretically who would fit in there.
I mean, Candice LeRae with her, she would work.
There we go. Now we can talk. Gotta hit the hashtag spoiler.
Those have been censored.
Right to censors coming in.
We'll be right back.
You know, I don't really care. I'm interested in the episode. I will still watch AW first because I can watch NXT on the network. I can watch it on Hulu, whatever. But you know, whatever. All right. Now the next match on the card, which we all agreed was going to be a hell of a stomper. Io Shirai, another one of Ryan's go-tos, and Caleb's future wife, Candice LeRae. My son has been in love with this female since she was a face, and she came out with all the candy on the jumbotron, and that was his quote unquote candy girl. Good for him. He's got good taste. What can I say?
Good luck, Caleb. Godspeed.
I know, right? Bring Daddy home that cheddar, homie. There you go. I'm calling it now. That weird cage fight that we saw with Matt Riddle. It's going to be him versus Gargano. Winner gets Candice.
Okay. I'll watch.
I would too.
I'm sorry. I like your boy, but I'm not going against Gargano.
Are you kidding? I think he'd walk in there and fucking charm the pants off of the man to your left, and then the man, maybe the man to your right. So the Undisputed Era, they'll just come out and beat the shit out of him, and he'll lay down for the pin. No, but for real, I really enjoyed this match. This was. There was a couple of spots that looked a little shaky, like somebody couldn't get in place quite right, so there was a little bit of a lag between the two of them. But other than that, it was exactly what I expected.
Agree. Io Shirai is really, really good at this wrestling thing.
There's a shocker for you.
She's really, really good. I mean, she's a notch above, some of the best in the business. I mean, there's a top tier, and she's in the top tier. She's a top 5 female wrestler in the world.
I'll agree to that. I put her on the same level as, say, Asuka, which, in my opinion, Asuka is one of, if not the greatest women's wrestler in wrestling now. Mm-hmm. I'd put her in that level. So, yeah, I agree. Candice LeRae, she's maybe not quite in that level, but she's getting there.
The only issue I have with Candice LeRae is that she acts exactly like Johnny, which maybe is part of what it's supposed to be. And if that's the case, the role is perfect. But I sort of feel like I'm seeing the same character twice. But no, the match was good. And I did believe that Candice was going to win. I was wrong, but I believed it for a long part of it. I think the one thing this card sort of, I don't want to say suffered for, because it was a great show, but sort of a theme throughout the night was a lot of false finishes, a lot of fake finishes, which normally would finish a match, which is sort of the Ring of Honor AEW effect on the business. And I guess it's just unavoidable. But aside from, I mean, when Johnny came in with the ref thing, I was really hoping that they weren't going to have like the fake title, victory, that he's not really a ref thing. And they didn't, so good. And then when she hit Io with the belt, I thought that was it. And that's a perfect heel win for a title. Sets up the rematch, but that didn't get it done either. And once that didn't get it done, you sort of knew what was going to happen. Except you don't, because there were so many false finishes earlier already that you really couldn't be sure of anything. So I guess it sort of worked in its own way. Anyway, it was a really good match. I'm glad Io won, even though, again, I picked it wrong, because she's a really great champion.
Mm-hmm. I kind of wish she had gotten. I know women, they don't really do this that often. I kind of wish she had bled. I really just, when she took that shot, just even just a small cut or a blood capsule, just to kind of put, pop it in your hand and kind of do this or something, just to kind of give it a little bit more gravitas. But that's pretty much my only gripe about it.
Mm. My only gripe is that you use gravitas.
Fuck you.
I'll admit, yeah, the false finishes that's been done throughout this match really kind of it didn't really do it. It didn't make a dent in the overall enjoyability of these matches, but it did, like, in a way, affect the curve from how I'm going to grade this show. And honestly, WWE, they were always guilty of false finishes. I think it's because the fact they're in competition with AEW and with Ring of Honor and Impact in New Japan, they just upped the ante a little more in order to really get people invested. And the problem was that I was invested all the way throughout this match. Even with Gargano coming in here, I thought, once again, like with Candice, she's going to do whatever it takes to be champ. And I thought that would be great. And having Johnny come out there also works too, because they're both in unity. Yes, I mean, it's kind of like a 50-50 dose. She might be the same as Gargano, but then at the same time it kind of works, because then they're of the right state of mind, that they know no matter what in this company, they're going to put each other before anybody else. Whether if they're going to help each other win matches, or they're going to do a situation where they're going to try to, distract referees, or, cheer each other on. I kind of like that cohesion between the two of them. And you saw how it worked with Gargano failing to get that fast 3 count. Then thinking, once he saw that ref come in, he grabs that belt and, just the whole arguing with the ref. And I love that back and forth. Like, you get out of here. No, you get out of here. No, you get out of here. All of that was there telling a story of Gargano. He's just waiting for that moment. Drops the belt. And then just like that, Candice attacks. And yes, that would have been a great nail on that coffin for Candice to win. But when that didn't happen, I'm like, okay, how are they going to remove Johnny this time? Apparently they didn't. It was just more of EO just fought back harder and won. And as much as I don't mind that, it was kind of like at that situation, you needed to either take out Gargano or have the ref throw him out, which would have definitely... But other than that, match was great. I like EO. I've always been behind EO. I mean, I don't know if my predictions if I voted for Candice or I was sticking with EO, but still, EO moving forward as champion is great, especially with the 2 new challengers that has arrived in NXT. This is going to be more opportunity for more instant classic matches with EO and more great pairings. So I can't wait to see what EO's going to do further. I mean, personally, looking at the story, of course, you guys don't like it, but when I look at the story, I do see Candice more suited in that position, especially with these wrestlers coming in. And to be honest, this was kind of like the lowest of I mean, No, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop there. I love the match.
Say that. I was fixing to say, I can't believe he was going to say that. The whole thing I don't like about Johnny is that temper tantrum he had at the end, throwing himself down I'm like, dude, my son when he was 5 did that. No, don't do that. But that's just nitpicking. Nitpicking is nitpicking. But
Deadpool 2, that's just lazy writing.
Whatever. All right, and then the night vision goggle, or actually first Tony Storm came on screen, didn't even get a pop. Nobody made a reaction. I expected a pop noise, and she just said, "I'm coming." I'm like, okay.
Noise. I mean, they took out the LED screens of the Thunderdome to have her there. And even if the wrestlers were told...
Okay, bro, somebody who sat in Thunderdome, when you're not on screen, you still see what the fuck's going on. You actually still see it. So, I'm sorry, but they could have put, a crowd noise, or a why, whatever.
Honestly, that would not have been believable if they put in audio crowd noise. I mean...
There were people there, bro. There were people in the audience.
But those are wrestlers. I don't want to fight you on this. I'm just saying that it's not going to feel authentic with an actual crowd.
And family. They did say that they had actual people there. Just pointing that out. But I was like, okay, cool. I like Tony Storm. Cool. Her line of "It's Tony time." That landed harder than my last joke. I'm like, yo, a storm is coming. Or
no, that was the catchphrase that NXT gave her when she was on the UK brand and when she wrestled on NXT time and every now and then. He was even on T-shirts. It's Tony time. So it's unfortunate. It was just like a burden she was placed with, and she just had. I'm not forgiving her for the drop of that line. The delivery was off, but I've seen EO. I've seen EO and Tony wrestle each other, not just from the Mae Young Classic, but also in some Stardom matches. So I know these two can go. I'm willing to let that slip by in order for the promise of an EO and Tony match.
Okay, cool. Dose, what did you think about Ms. Storm making her return?
Well, I think that your perfect segue into these next two mini segments was lazy writing, because both of these things were lazy, and having them back to back was they sort of diluted each other. Listen, I know that a lot of people love Toni Storm for a variety of reasons. Some wrestling related, some not wrestling related. I don't know much about her. I've seen her on NXT a few times. I've seen her on some shows. I'm sure she looks like she's fine. I thought that was her. I wasn't sure it was her because, frankly, with the white blonde hair, there's just so many women from the neck up in wrestling that look the same. So first I was wondering if that was Scarlett, but I was wondering why. Are they going to make her a wrestler? Who is it then? She doesn't really have a strong accent, so I wasn't sure. But I was really mostly baffled because I wasn't aware that people from the UK could get here yet. Because why isn't Pac here?
She's mostly from Australia, but she has wrestled a lot in the UK, though. She has.
Well, she's on NXT UK, so I figured that's where. But wherever she's been, is she able to get here? Because I mean, I know that Alex Zane, who's a ROH wrestler, just first started wrestling in Australia. They advertised that, and NXT UK just started up. Pac isn't back yet, so I just don't know if she.
Maybe she was able to secure a deal or at least get a temporary light visa for her to come. It was just a tease, honestly.
Sure.
They didn't really lock in a date, but I do understand your confusion, or at least the problem is that going to rise from that.
Yeah, I just don't know if the event horizon for her arrival here is that she's here now, or there's going to be months. Oh, you're given time, so you know something?
I do. I was looking it up while everybody was talking. Apparently, what you have to do is you have to go to a country that will come to the States or whatever, and then you must quarantine for 14 days somewhere, Bolo for 14 days. Then you are allowed to come. If you leave the States, you have to go back and quarantine wherever you're at for another 14 days. So,
I've done that with basketball and even baseball. But yeah, keep going. Sorry.
With Pac, I looked this up while you guys were talking too. The problem is he would want to go home, so he would come, quarantine for 14 days, come for a couple of tapings, go home, and then have to quarantine for another 14 days. So that's at least, a month in quarantine without your family. So it kind of makes sense.
No, it totally makes sense. It just
because Dynamite, you're only there for 1 week of taping. Even though you have a contract, it is an open contract to where you don't have to stay in the States to wrestle there. Unlike with the WWE, where most of the wrestlers, especially those on NXT, they have to live within the Florida area, at least near where the Performance Center is, in order to at least continue working.
Yeah, well, that's what happened with Rhea Ripley, is that her visa expired because of COVID, and she couldn't go home. So she had to stay quarantined here until they could get it worked out. That's why she returned when she did. So it's kind of a crapshoot. I'm curious to see about it. And then on comes the strange night vision that apparently Randy Orton isn't privy to, which, okay.
They didn't have 9 days ago, but they have now.
Yeah. Apparently this motorcycle riding badass, which I told Dose behind the scenes would have been even more badass had that motorcycle came down to the ring, maybe did a little bit of a burnout. She got up, turned behind, facing the screen, took the helmet off, and then turned around. Did something, did that scream like she does, if that's the case, leading back into Halloween Havoc. She walked out and just took the helmet off. I'm like, I didn't even know she was cleared to wrestle.
Yeah.
Okay.
She was on SmackDown. I think they teased when she got injured. She teased a bit of a retirement, though, which was kind of funny.
Yeah, it was a good surprise, and WWE is not good at surprises. But it looks like NXT is better with surprises because, Loomis showed up last week. He didn't do anything, but he showed up. So that's good. And wrestling needs surprises. It benefits from surprises. I just think that Toni Storm and Ember Moon back to back was, again, they sort of diluted each other. You bring back one, female competitor. If you're going to bring someone else, then you would think it would be a male. But it's fine, I guess. I just think it would have been top-notch trolling of WWE if it was Charlotte. And then she stepped to the side, and then Ember came behind her. I mean, just because everyone's like, "No, not Charlotte again." But I think that would have been
like that. If it had been Charlotte, I think I would have been more okay with that because, she is this badass. She was going after the NXT apparently women's title. I like how we all assumed it was a male. Like, I just want to point that out. Everybody
did start to open the possibility the closer we got that it may be a female, but it was kind of like in our past recordings. Yeah, we were all locked in on it.
Well, and they didn't. You never actually saw a person, so I kind of like that they had us all thinking it was going to be Bo Dallas. We were all pretty much on consensus it was him.
Yeah.
Before Robert Roode appeared on Raw, he was definitely my pick to have possibly been the next one, but that's okay. I'm glad to see she's back. Congratulations to Ember Moon. You came back from this injury that you said was pretty much career ending, so more power to her. She was fucking a hell of a competitor in NXT, so Triple H knows what to do with her, so let's see where she goes. I'd like to see her as a heel.
But I didn't see the red contact lenses. So she may be dropping that Goddess of War werewolf thing. Which I think is also good.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's kind of weird.
The red contacts, I remember when I was following NXT very heavily, she only used those sparingly, honestly. Once every couple of matches. I know when she got onto the main roster, that's all they saw was the red contacts, the War Goddess setup. And I can't blame them for that. But I think looking at it, it does make some great sense for Ember Moon to be back there because she didn't have a fair go as NXT champion. Because they had this huge rivalry setting up between her and Asuka. Asuka gets hurt, so she never got a chance to win it off her. She wins it in a 4-way match with Peyton Royce, Kairi Sane, and hold on. Oh my God. How did I forget it? But never mind. She wins it up in a 4-way, and then just like that, Shayna Baszler is inserted into this wrestling feud, and she doesn't have a proper title defense. She just gets the title, loses it to Baszler at a takeover, and then she's called up and then later, a couple months down the road, she's called up. So with her coming back, who knows? Maybe she's going to be a heel, or she'll be kind of like Io, a tweener, but more along the lines of a heel side. I mean, if you wanted to put this in D&D terms, like Io could be chaotic neutral, but then for Ember Moon, she could be neutral evil, like she could be somewhere on the same side, but, a little bit towards with heel tendencies. And I do agree with you, Dose. Toni Storm and Ember Moon back-to-back does kind of sour or neutralizes the importance of them returning. Normally, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I want to point out her shoulder pads real quick. Those are soda pop tops on her shoulder. I don't know why, but I think that is hysterical. Like, for real.
The neck guard, and then you see, of course, the neck sleeve guard around her. I don't know. For some reason, I'm thinking of those bikers from South Park who just make noise in order to get attention.
I was leaning more kind of Mad Max kind of feel because she did ride a motorcycle, but that's okay. I'm just gonna say we're gonna wait and see what happens.
We're not gonna assume. I just feel that if this was an actual lot, I mean, if they did the crowd the way AEW did a crowd, I think we would have gotten some good energy between back and forth. That we would have got first Toni Storm, then you had that nice build of her riding into the new center, and then she shows up. I don't know. It just feels to me that as much as I love this new arena, the setup kind of was a bit of a miss on both of them.
Well, I think it's also could be the fact she doesn't know how to ride a motorcycle, and that was somebody else on a motorcycle.
Jeez, man, can I believe in kayfabe for 3 seconds?
Well, all right, guys, let's move on to the two men that are surrounding Ryan. Finn Balor, the champion, took on Kyle O'Reilly. Wow, they were both bleeding by the end of the match. Whether they were blood capsules or they really did it the old-fashioned way, we all knew Finn Balor was going to retain. I think we all took that. But he's a star now. Like, Kyle O'Reilly is a star. Holy shit.
Agreed.
Hit it, brother. Ryan, go ahead, man. I don't know where to start. Like, I
don't know either. I just know that when this started, it was clear Kyle O'Reilly fought because he had something to prove. And Wade Barrett even said that Kyle O'Reilly, he is a great wrestler. It's just this was him trying to show that he's no longer a tag team wrestler, that he is a singles competitor. He is the next person, the next person to be on top of the mountain. So in that sense, and just seeing Kyle, I mean, how he's just using all of his skills from when he wrestled in Evolve, Ring of Honor, using his strikes, using submission holds, like always using that knee bar or having to use an arm bar setup, or just using calculated time strikes on Balor to neutralize him, so Balor doesn't always try to get him with those hard-hitting styles like he did against Cole. Kyle came in there not to punish, but to prevent Balor from making any comebacks. And honestly, through like 5 or 6 minutes, it felt to me that Kyle might come out on top. Like, it was nothing but O'Reilly. But then, of course, with Balor being the champ, he does come back. And I even love how when he did the reverse 1916, it didn't take him out. And I love the fact when he does that move, that's not an exact finisher. It has to be when he's doing it, when he's holding them like with their back towards the air, not their stomach up in the air. Because with their backs to the air, not only can the elevation look that much more impactful, but at the same time, it can give you that illusion that he literally is dropping someone on their head. Not with the reverse, with their bellies up in the air. Because you can easily tell they're just going to land on the back of their head, and it won't be as effective.
I don't know. I thought he was going to tap when he had him in that knee bar or leg hold, whatever you want to call it.
Knee bar. They call it a knee bar at times.
They called it a knee bar, but it wasn't really a knee bar. I don't know. But I almost thought Balor was going to tap. And I'm surprised that Undisputed Era didn't come out earlier. I was really stunned that they actually let him go up the ramp and out by himself. I thought they would have all came out and stood on the stage and then went back. But you know what? That's okay. Dose.
Don't let the lack of my words confuse anyone out there as not being appreciative of this match, because I think this match was pretty much perfect. I think this was about as good a pure wrestling match as I've ever seen. Great storytelling, great end. Yes, I pretty much thought Balor was going to win. I don't think anyone thought that Kyle O'Reilly was going to be the champion. But during parts of this match, you thought that maybe why not? And that's all that you can do. So, I mean, they sold the hell out of each other's moves. They worked hard. They did the face, sort of helps face up thing to solidify Kyle as a face, or at least they respect each other. And Finn, who's been sort of riding that chaotic neutral, as Ryan said earlier, looks like he's more in the face camp, just sort of the sort of like the Moxley face, sort of like the I'm a badass loner face, although Moxley has sort of a little crew now also. But this was match of the night on a card with 5 very solid matches. And if this is not in match of the year candidacy towards the end of the year, there's something wrong, because this match, I am not that big on the in-ring stuff. It doesn't mean I don't appreciate it, but that's not that important to me. And I'm also not that big on smaller wrestlers, as we all know way too much. But as far as a wrestling match, especially in this era, this is 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what Dave Meltzer give it. I don't really give a shit about his star ratings.
Sure, you'd be curious.
I'm curious just because, exactly like you said, this was technically sound. We all knew Balor was going to win. There were those glimmer of hope for him. Maybe, I don't know, maybe he's getting ready to get called up. I don't know.
I think Balor at this point, like what you guys have said, and also Villains brought up, and also JV3 too. Balor at this point, he doesn't really need the title, but he is there on NXT because he wants to be there. So,
see, I think putting it on him is like putting the belt in AEW on Moxley. It makes sense. They can be the face of the company. You know, oh look, shiny.
Yeah. He doesn't need anything. NXT needs him to have the belt right now.
Exactly. He said it himself. Let's talk about the ending, the way that the show went off. I actually missed it. I had to pee, and I thought it was over. Ryan, what do you think is going down?
Well, it's clear that they have something planned for Rich Holland, because when I saw that caption card that, at WWE production, I was just about to back out, like exit, and then all of a sudden the camera pans, and then you see that, and then you see Cole being carried out by a dude, and I didn't recognize him for a second, and then all of a sudden I'm like, that's the son of a bitch that nearly dropped Gargano on his head, and I'm like, they're really gonna push this dude up after that scary bump? But he did destroy Austin Theory, so I'm like, maybe Cole will be Cole kind of be like what Seth Rollins was to Dominic Mysterio. He'll be that professional to work with him, make him look good. But I don't know. I mean, look, they're giving Cole something to do because, to be honest, longest reigning NXT champ. How many times can they keep trying to keep him away from the belt? So him going up against a very stacked dude that Rich Holland is, does at least now they're making a purpose for Cole. They're giving Cole a purpose on NXT. He's not aimlessly wandering around.
I know what happened for our viewers. What happened with Undisputed Era? I heard.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just talking about the moment. What happened was Rich comes out. He has Cole on his shoulders, and then he drops him on the floor. Fish and Strong run out. They check up on Cole, and before they wanted to attack, Ridge disappeared, and then they just, they don't jump out. Just like, what the hell happened? Like, where'd he go? And then, same thing. Balor and O'Reilly, they were just stood there, not like in, not stunned or so, but just more of a look of bewilderment on their face. I mean,
did you see it? No, didn't see it. None of us saw it.
Okay, because from what I heard in the other room, it sounded like they were pulling the Kyle O'Reilly attacked Balor, and Undisputed Era is like, what the fuck did you do? That's what it sounded like from the other room. Which
there may have been like, why'd you let this happen or something, but it was really quick and sort of abrupt. I mean, I think it accomplished. I mean, the only thing I'm confused about is I sort of thought that they were going to put Ridge with Cameron Grimes.
Cameron Grimes. Oh,
right. And don't get me wrong, I'm happy enough not to see Cameron Grimes in any sort of major program on my TV. I'm not a fan. But this is strange. But yeah, I mean, it solidifies that Ridge is a heel. We weren't sure before because he was just a silent strong type. It sort of solidifies that Cole is a face. And it also doesn't look like they're rushing to actually break up Undisputed Era, even though the demeanors are certainly different, but they're still together and sticking together. So it looks like that's going to play out for a little bit longer, which I'm actually completely fine with. I don't need them to break up or really ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I see Undisputed Era like I do New Day. I would like to see them left alone. Everybody's like, well, they need to split New Day. They need to do this. Undisputed Era needs to break up. No, leave them alone. Like, I like these factions, but it was kind of weird during the during the backstage thing where Kyle's warming up, you kind of see them, working with him, and Cole was just kind of sitting in the background. He was just kind of sitting there. It wasn't really doing a whole lot, and I'm just like, I figured he'd be right in his face, like, you got this, come on,
there was some bit of storytelling there. Like, it did seem as if Cole, like, with him just sitting there, to a storytelling standpoint, it could seem like Cole may be a little resented. But after from NXT with Cole, after he beats Austin Theory, when he's telling people in the camera that Kylo, it's O'Reilly's time, Riley's going to prove everyone wrong, like he's going to show everyone what he's capable of. That felt a bit of it may look like a contradiction, but no, it's just more of the situation to where Cole, he just simply sits there, letting O'Reilly have his moment, prepping him up, not trying to get in his head. I'm not contradicting anyone here. It's just more of like there's a lot that moment can say, but I do agree with you. Don't break up the era. Really,
no. I took that as I didn't take that as anything. I think they all sort of said good luck, and I think they all fist pumped or whatever. But I took it as Cole just being in the background because this is Kyle O'Reilly's night.
Yeah, and that's and like I said, I was gonna say, I might have just read way too much into it. My tinfoil hat. Ha 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 ha. They're gonna.
Unfortunately, what NXT and WWE does to you.
All right, guys. So we have gone through the card, top to bottom. Let's go ahead and say what we gave the pay-per-view as a total. I'm gonna give it a solid B+. It almost got the A, but maybe the two returns back to back kind of knocked it down just a little bit. But the matches themselves were stacked. It was fantastic. Every match had hard hitting. They had great storytelling. The heels did exactly what they were supposed to. I loved it. Damian Priest, I love that guy more and more every time I see him. He is very easily becoming my dude in NXT. Fuck it. Dose, what do you give this?
I'm going to go a little higher than you. I'm going to go with an A-. The only reason I didn't give it an A is because I thought that the re-debut of Toni Storm and Ember Moon were both really flat. And like Ryan, I was not sure who Ridge Holland was at first, but I was literally the first thing I thought when I realized it is, oh my God, thank goodness it's not that punter again whose name escapes me right now. No. Not that he did a bad job, but I can't remember his name. Pat McAfee. Senior moment. Pat McAfee.
Oh, the security system dude. The McAfee, the security system guy. Okay.
Right. I was just happy that it wasn't Pat McAfee. But like with I'll give it a COVID A because there's no crowd, but okay, what's the difference? A, sure, A, because the matches really were good.
You know what? I'm going to go with that. I'll go with that. I agree. You know what? Listening to you, I agree. I'll go with that. Ryan, round us out.
In the beginning, before going back in my mind, this was going to be a B+, on the 89%. But then just looking back now, the execution for both Toni and Moon were completely off. But at the same time, it's a new arena that they're now going to be doing NXT in. And at the same time, the potential possibilities, and also it went from a B+ to more of like a 91% A-. Now, that's where I'm going with.
All right.
Despite the false finishes, it was still a good, strong show. And with the fact that there's more talent coming in, means there's going to be some fresh injection into some of these matches, in at least the belt chasing the belt. Alrighty, gentlemen.
Everybody knows where to find us. Obviously, we do this a lot. We will be back Thursday night, gentlemen, to discuss the rest of the week. I want to give everybody Too Sweet for sticking it out. Everybody, we'll see you next time.